Welcome to Navigating Cancer Together. My name is Talaya Dindi. I'm a cancer thriver, cancer doula, independent patient advocate, and owner of On the Other Side. I use my experience to help others get on the other side of cancer. Gaps between the guidance, emotional support, and education that are needed and what one receives can be huge. This podcast fills those gaps by sharing stories, resources, and information about all things related to cancer and wellness. I interview guests from all walks of life who are living with cancer, caregivers, and those who are thriving on the other side. Also, I talk with organizations, healthcare professionals, and experts in the health and wellness spaces who offer complementary and integrative care. Join me. We are in this together. Hello, everyone. This is Talaya Dindi from On the Other Side Life, and you're listening to Navigating Cancer Together, the show that has something for everyone facing cancer. Why? Because everyone is different with different needs, beliefs, and perspectives. Thank you for joining us for this episode. I encourage you to open your minds and your hearts. Today, our amazing guest is Mark L. Fox. Mark is an entrepreneur, scientist, engineer, author, creative thinking consultant, crop formation researcher, and former space shuttle chief engineer. Wow. Mark was also a hot air balloonist for 35 years. He has built his own airplane. He is the inventor of VIBE, the world's only pocket pulsed electromagnetic field device. And that is PEMF. Mark is here today to tell us all about Vibe and some of its wonderful benefits. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Just one correction there. I'm still a hot air balloonist, so that's my favorite hobby in the world. I've been doing it
Okay.
for 35 years. I'm still flying. Yeah. That's
Okay.
one of my funnest things to go do.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it's in your bio. It said was a hot air
Oh,
balloonist.
okay. We'll have to change that. Sounds like
Y-
a
y-
obituary, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, okay. Yeah, I'm like, oh, was. But thank you for the correction, Mark. I
Okay.
appreciate that. Yes,
Uh,
you still are, and you've been doing it for 35 years.
yes. Yes. Yeah, it's
Okay,
super fun.
wonderful. Mark, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great today. Even though it's rainy out, I'm in a good mood.
Wonderful. That's always good to hear. Mark, you have done so much work, all different kinds of jobs. Please tell us more about your interesting background. Walk us through how you ended up doing all of those different things so far.
I didn't want to be a rocket scientist. My dad was one, and I'm like, I don't want anything to do with rocket science because I grew up with it. It's like I'm going to do something else. But I graduated with a chemical engineering degree in 1983, and they were only hiring nobody. Okay,
Mm.
so it was
Yeah.
it was a terrible time, and so I was hanging drywall with a friend of mine who was a nuclear physicist, and we were making $3.50 an hour hanging drywall.
Oh,
And we're like,
wow.
okay, well, this is no fun. So then I finally got an offer to go out to Kennedy Space Center and work as an engineer there. I was like, I'll do this for 6 months or something and then move on. But I ended up staying in the space program for about 17 years. So 15 to 17, depending how you count it, because I moved around a little bit. Then I got out of aerospace and just went into the computer industry. And right when the internet started, 1996, 96, 98, I got into e-commerce for iOmega, which was anyone that's old enough that's listening would remember a zip drive. That's what we made back then. And then I done all kinds of strange things with selling women's clothing. I own a piece of a clothing company for women. I just gotten really interested in this specific vibe technology when my dog got sick about 23 years ago. So she was trying to come up stairs one morning and she couldn't come up and she couldn't move. One of us had to take her to the vet and we got her x-rayed and she had severe arthritis in her spine. And a very forward thinking veterinarian friend of mine named Oz Jackson, he said, hey, there's this lady that has this magic machine that can get rid of arthritis. I'm like, okay. So I dug into that and that's how it started. So I've been involved with frequencies and frequency energy since then. What really got me motivated is there wasn't a consumer device out there that was using this technology that was affordable. And I'm a chemical engineer as my undergraduate, not an electrical engineer, but I'm like, there's got to be a way to build one of these things that's not so expensive. And so I started off very naively of a little printed circuit board and then a few engineers helping me. And after a few fires and things, burning up and not working, and then I kind of figured out how to take these protocols, and I used a music synthesizer to make MP3s. So the device, the vibe is actually like it's an MP3 player. It just doesn't have a speaker. It doesn't make sound. It runs the protocols through coils. It makes a magnetic field. So where do the protocols come from? They're 35 years of 8,000 practitioners in a clinical environment doing experimentation, right? I get asked this all the time. What frequency does the device run at? Well, it's not at a single frequency, it's frequency pairs. And if you think of it, the pairs as ingredients
Mhm.
and the protocols are recipes. So basically, that's what it is a bunch of doctors, chiropractors, physical therapists in a kitchen, a clinical kitchen, playing with, take out some oregano, put in some whatever, take out some 40 hertz, put in 20 hertz, and see what it does. So that's what the protocols are based on. There's 59 of them now, and they're all based on trial and error. Of I said, 35 years, 8,000 practitioners. I estimate about 1 million different patients have been exposed to this technology. If you go to PubMed, there's about 35,000 published articles on it. It's not anything new. The Earth puts out PEMF. Magnetic therapy has been around for 3,500 years, right? So that part isn't new, but the way they're supplying it and the way it's been fine tuned with the recipes is relatively new. I mean, in the last 3, 5 years, but the expensive machines that are kind of being held hostage in a clinical environment. So that's why I tried really hard to come up with a consumer device that was affordable.
Thank you for going into detail about that. Mark, the name of your company is called Resona. What is the meaning behind that name?
So it's Resona Health, and Resona is short for resonance. And that's the principle of how it all works is it resonates with the water in your body and it resonates with your cells. So if you think of it this way, nothing in the world happens without an energy exchange. So if I'm cooking a hot dog on a campfire or making s'mores or digesting food or hitting the brake pedal on your car to stop it or the gas to make it go fast, those are all energy exchanges. So if you think of it, it's PEMF, pulse electromagnetic field, but that's just one way to deliver energy. So the energy can be delivered that way. It can be
Okay, Mark.
delivered.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
For the people who are not aware, please tell the audience what PEMF is, if you
Okay.
can explain it in an easy way.
It's pulsed electromagnetic field. So it's a magnetic field, just like if you had a magnet on your refrigerator, but it's pulsed. So it's going on and off, and it's reversing back and forth at a certain frequency. The Earth is doing it all the time. So the Earth is at 7.83 hertz. So 7.8 times a second is going back and forth, and 14.1 and 20.3. So there's three different bands around the Earth. And if you have your compass, that's what it's doing. When you're going north, it's looking at that PEMF that the Earth is putting out. I get this question a lot is everyone these days is scared to death of EMF and Wi-Fi and cell phones.
Yes.
And it's like it has no, they're both similar in that they're both electromagnetic radiation, just like light is, just like sunlight. But PEMF is very therapeutic and helpful, and it's super, super, super low energy. EMF are things like Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Your cell phone is megahertz. So your cell phone is 1 million times higher frequency than these devices because they're designed to transmit across space to a tower so you can talk to people. PEMF is completely different. It's kind of collapses on its own self. It doesn't really go anywhere. So those are the big differences between the two, but yeah, PEMF it's hard to say. Some people
Yeah.
I noticed
Had to
recently
go slow.
yeah, well, I realized people started saying PEMF now because it's too hard to say
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to make sure that folks out
Yes.
there listening understood what that is and how it works. So thank you.
And when people go, well, how does this work? Is let me start off by saying nobody knows how aspirin works. Okay. If they tell you they do, they're lying or they're delusional. They don't know how any drug works. You have theories about how it works, but it's not proven, right? So the theory on how PEMF works or PEMF works is the cells in your body have an electrical charge just like a battery. When they get run down, you get sick. That's been proven over and over with all kinds of studies. This charges your cells' batteries. So it's giving your cells the energy it needs to help your body heal itself. That's number one. Number two, ATP, which is called adenosine triphosphate. It's the main fuel that your cells use for food. And this has been shown to increase ATP up to 500%. So it's recharging your cells' batteries and it's giving your cells more food to make your cells healthier to fix yourself. So that's the big difference between that and a drug or anything else. That's the theory of how it works is what I just said, an energy exchange. It's putting
Mhm.
energy into the cells.
Okay. And how can PEMF, how can it help cancer survivors? How can it support their healing?
I wish I had a protocol for cancer, but I don't. And one of the reasons is to treat or go after cancer cells, you need higher energy. You need megahertz and things like a Rife machine and stuff. And those have higher energy that can kill a cancer cell. Mine does not. So to answer your question, how it can support it is all the side effects. And when I say side effects, I don't mean necessarily the nausea from chemo or that. It's the side effects of what your family's going through, living with you, the anxiety that you have that it might come back, depression it might have caused, sluggishness that you're just worn out. So it gives you more energy and stuff, more blood flow. All PMF frequencies will increase blood flow and oxygenation of blood. So all of those things, it's the support team on the sideline for cancer people of how it helps the most, not directly for cancer, but for all the mental things and other things like oxygenation and stuff, giving you more energy so you can get up and get out of bed and do stuff. So that's where it really supports it the most, I think.
Okay. How would someone use Vibe Mark? Is it something that they have to do several times a day? Does that look different for everyone? What does that look like?
And how they use it, I designed it to be ridiculously simple. You turn it on, it's alphabetical order. You pick the one you want, you hit play, and you put it in your pocket. So
Okay.
that's it. Or you wear it with a lanyard around your neck. Now, I've given up on this one because I lost the battle. I kept telling women, quit putting it in your bra, but that's what they do. Okay. So I've got so many women that put it in their bra. It's hilarious. I get emails every day, not every day, every other day. What do I do if I get it wet?
Oh.
My answer is quit bending over so far when you flush the toilet. And they're like, what are you, a psychic? I go, I know that's how it got wet. It's the only way it's going to get wet. Fell out of your bra into a toilet. So yeah, you can wear it that way or just put it in your pocket. And the magnetic field itself does not travel very far. No magnetic fields do unless they're extremely strong and they still follow the same physics rule. They drop off fast, but it resonates with the water in your body, like throwing a pebble in a pond. So, you throw a pebble in the pond, it makes that energy at one point, but then that wave travels. And so that's again a theory that it's doing that. The reason I believe that's what it's doing is because you can still put it in your pocket and it can go after gout in your foot or swelling in your ear or mental issues, right? So, like PTSD is
Mhm.
in every part of your body. So, where would you even put the device? So, just wearing in your pocket seems to work. And your body is electrically conductive, your skin, your organs. And if you remember from science class, an alternating magnetic field makes electrical current and vice versa. So it's creating an electrical current, not anything that you could feel because the energy is so low, what most people could not feel. So that's how it kind of travels through your body. So that's how you use it is just pick the one you want, hit play and let it run its course. Each protocol is different. The average one is about 40 minutes long, but they range from about 30 minutes to 2.5 hours. So how often you use it, I started off with saying 3 to 4 times a week for 30 days because that's what it was in the clinical environment, right? If you were going to a doctor's office, whatever therapy they're giving you, if you don't see a difference in 12 to 15 sessions, either the diagnosis is wrong or it's just not going to work for you. So that's what my guidance has been. But half of my customers do not listen to me, and they run 10 protocols a day. When they start to get the relief, they go crazy. The craziest in the last 2 months, the craziest, meanest, nasty people in the world are 75-year-old men with prostate issues. They're running at 8 hours a day and then calling me in between, yelling at me. Like, what else do I go do? Yeah, they're awful. So, so the plan was to do 3 to 4, and I was thinking the average person would have a single ailment, but they don't. And all my marketing friends told me, make sure you only sell it for one thing because people aren't going to leave
Exactly.
a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, every marketer that I know, and I'm a marketer too, but all of my friends have said, They're going to think you're crazy. Just say it's for a single thing." And well, the reason people are buying it is because it does multiple things. And I'm finding out I'm still looking for the unicorn, the one person that only has one thing wrong with them. I
Yes.
haven't found that person yet, right?
Okay.
So I made up a term because doctors can make it up. So I decided I'm going to make it up. I said diabiological syndrome. People go, one guy
What?
said diabiological syndrome. One guy told me once, goes, my dad had that. And I'm like, really? I made that turn up. So DIA, like the devil's triangle,
Yes, okay.
diabiological. So depression, insomnia, anxiety. Nobody has one of those. You've got two or all three. You either depressed because
Mhm,
you can't sleep because you're depressed, you're anxious. So I made up that
mhm,
term, but yeah, I have people running multiple ones. In general, I tell people give it a rest, right? Is your
mhm.
body needs to take that energy and use it to help itself heal. I had a woman, what's today? Wednesday, Monday, say, I'm not sure if it's helping and I feel a little bit weird. And I go, what protocol is you running? And she showed me there's 14 of them. So she's running 14 a day. I'm like, stop, stop.
Wow.
Go back to what is your biggest issue you want to tackle? Just run that one once a day
Mhm.
and see if that gets better. So I have people all over the map with it. The good news is you can't overdose with this stuff. It can make you
That's good.
tired. You can't overdose. So if your body doesn't need the energy, it doesn't use it. But in general, I keep telling people don't do it more than once a day, maybe twice. And everyone's going to be a little different to just see how your body reacts to it.
Mark, do you have different versions? Is there just one standard version of the vibe?
Version 1 came out with 47 protocols. Version 2 is 55. And
Mhm.
version 3 has 59 that came out 3 days ago. I just got version 3. I added bronchitis, a different prostate protocol to try and make these mean guys calm down a little bit to see if that'll work. Tinnitus for ringing in the ear because I'm getting a lot of complaints from people is there's no solution for that. What was the other one? Liver. So I not
Okay.
excuse me, not liver, kidney. I had liver already, but then we added kidney to it. And we put some voltage, some engineering nerdy stuff on it to try and quit customers from breaking it, where they're putting in the wrong charger or superchargers or
Um,
the wrong cables and they're frying the thing because they did something weird. So we're trying to defend to make it a little more robust and tough so they can't break it as easy. But
mhm.
not that many people are breaking it. We have honestly, I don't even believe this. We only have a 3% return rate.
That's
And
good.
and half of those are people that are like, I wanted my money back because I feel better now and I wanted to eat. I'm like, what?
Okay.
I've gotten several of those. I wanted to go out to dinner, so I want my money back. I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. So I run into that quite a bit. But yeah, we're getting a lot of super good feedback on it. And there's lots of surprises too of things that are happening that are really, really cool. I don't know if it'll be effective for the masses, but there's definitely some stuff like, and this isn't
Mhm.
cancer related,
Yeah.
but just I've had 2 women in their mid-70s tell me running general inflammation got rid of their varicose veins in their legs.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, "Really?" So if I go get a sample set of 30 or 40 people that happens to, uh,
Yes.
that might be a marketing thing for me, right? Just get rid of varicose
Exactly.
veins. So things like that, and I get a lot of 3, 4-letter acronyms of, "Will it help with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know what that is."
Okay.
So I go Google it, and you gotta kinda squint when you do it because you can't unsee those pictures.
Mhm.
And then can usually look and go, okay, it's either general inflammation, it's tendonitis, tendons, it's to run tendonitis, it's a nerve issue, run fibromyalgia. If it's a mind issue, is run brain balancing, because that's
Mm.
what they did in the clinics a whole lot. I've had a couple people recently with addiction
Oh,
tell me
wow.
they're running 417 hertz and they don't have any cravings anymore.
Mm.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm telling people go try it. But relative to the cancer, the ones I think make the most sense is what I said earlier, right? Depression, anxiety, sleep,
Yeah.
obviously,
Oh,
is
big one.
is huge, because that's stress is the biggest enemy we all have. So the more sleep you can get, the more you can fight that and just let your body recover.
This episode of Navigating Cancer Together is sponsored by On the Other Side, a cancer navigation enterprise that offers emotional support to individuals and families affected by cancer. Their cancer doula can guide them through the healthcare system and help them mindfully navigate cancer so they can reclaim their lives. If you want to learn more, visit ontheotherside.life and book a meet and greet today with a knowledgeable cancer doula who has faced cancer and made it on the other side. What has been a success story that has surprised you the most that you were just not even expecting?
Lately, varicose veins is the one that, is throwing me off. I don't know. You may have to dub part of this from your listeners, but a medical female doctor asked me this and said, Mark, do you know what vulvatia is? I'm like, No, but it sounds like I don't want to. Is that a female part, vulva thing? Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it is. She goes, it's a horrible, horrible thing. It's itching, knife stabbing, burning in female genital parts. She goes, 15 to 20% of women in the world have it. They just don't tell anyone about it because it's too embarrassing. She goes, I'm running every protocol you got. And if I find out the right recipe for that, I want half the $1 billion that you make. I just
Okay.
said, okay. So,
Okay.
so I got a doctor working on that. But to answer your question directly, if it doesn't raise the hair on your arms, you're not human. I have a
Mhm.
17-year-old girl tell me, Mark, I've never had a date in my life
Mm.
because I'm a monster.
Wow.
I have Tourette's and no boy's ever going to ask me out. She goes, I ran your brain balancing. My Tourette's disappeared and I have a date Saturday night.
Oh,
She's now dating that guy. And she has not had
nice.
Tourette's for 2 years now. So I had no idea it could do that. It just did. Right. And even back to all the skeptics, if it's 100% placebo, who cares? I
Yeah.
don't think it is, but it got rid of her Tourette's and she has a boyfriend now.
Helped her life out a lot,
It helped
so
her up a lot. Yes.
yeah. Mark, what is something that people often misunderstand about the work that you do or vibe itself? You mentioned skeptics. What are some of the things that they really misunderstand?
Yeah. It's a very good question. In fact, I just released a new book today. And it, if you think about it this way, is like anesthesia, x-rays, stem cell therapy. Think of any of that stuff, of how insane that would be to have brought that conversation up 50 years ago,
Yeah.
that this would be commonplace, right? So that's probably the biggest one of all the haters, is like, oh, it's all voodoo. I'm like, well, there's 35,000 published papers on it. Go read it. Go look at, well, people come back. I read them all and they're not valid. I'm like, really? Okay. But so it's that thing, is just to say, if the analogy I used to somebody yesterday, if you had a cell phone on the Mayflower, how would you explain it to the person?
Right.
Right? It's a yeah, it's a thing. How does it work? I don't know. You talk and it bounces around, right? So if you keep that open mind with this technology,
Yeah.
knowing that we're made of energy, we're frequencies, it's an energy transfer, like I said earlier, it's not that magical. The Facebook haters, this is the one I try to argue the most, is this is a magnetic therapy device. An
Mhm.
MRI is a magnetic diagnostic tool, but they're both magnetic resonance. MRI, magnetic resonance imaging. This is
Mhm.
magnetic. So when I ask people, do you know how an MRI works? Only met one person that has. I've studied a little bit because, in my opinion, It's the most magical thing that a human being has ever invented. Ever.
Mhm.
Way more than a rocket, way more than the space station. An MRI is so, but I don't know if we have enough time for me to give you the 30-second version, but it is bizarre how an MRI works. It should not work at all.
Yeah.
And it's complete magic. This is 100 times less magic. So, but the point being, millions of MRIs are done every year, and that's totally accepted in the community. I got a
Yes.
picture of my heart, so it must be real. That was made from Alice in Wonderland, unreal stuff.
Right.
Yes. So
Exactly.
so that's the biggest misconception is like just because your brain's not there yet or you haven't researched it. And I've been dreaming of this for a while, for last month. I've been waiting for enough people to have the vibe and have success that they start fighting the Facebook haters instead of me.
Oh,
And
sure.
that has started in the last month where I'm just backing off and I'm watching what the other customers are saying. So that feels good. It's like, this works for me. I don't know why you're dogging it so much, Steve. Have you ever tried it? That type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like you said, kinda take you out of it and, let it speak for itself.
Or maybe even a
Mhm.
logical kind of person. I would try to respond to them and you can't win.
Yeah,
You give
of
them
course.
information and data and go, well, read this and here's a study on it. And they're like, yeah, you're an idiot. And you're like, oh, okay. I give up.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll use my energy elsewhere.
Exactly.
How has Vibe helped you? Have you used it for yourself?
I have, fortunately, I hope I'm not that broken. I'm 62, but I don't have a lot of soreness or anything. The
Good.
sleep is the main one for me is my entire life. I've had bad nightmares, like
Oh, okay.
people trying to stab me, shoot me, and I have to wake myself up before I get killed in my dream. I mean, I have bad dreams like that. Now, when I run this, again, you may have to dub this part out. I go from getting killed to things like Halle Berry. Right?
Yeah.
I start dreaming about things that are just a whole much more pleasant and nice, and I fall asleep faster. I haven't slept longer necessarily, but I fall asleep faster and my dreams are more pleasant. We've got quite a few customers with Aura rings, Fitbits that are measuring REM sleep that are
Oh,
seeing 30 to a 50% increase in that by using it.
wow. That's good. Sleep is a big deal for a lot of people. A lot of people are struggling with insomnia.
Yes, yes. And what I tell people, I used to do this, put it in your pillow. Don't do that anymore because you're gonna knock it on the floor. And the program actually works better to run an hour before you go to sleep. So the protocol is 46 minutes long. So if you go to bed at 11 at night, 10, just put it in your pocket while you're reading or watching TV or whatever you're doing right before you go to bed.
Okay, that's good to know. Yes, a lot of people that are receiving cancer treatment, they can't sleep, they have insomnia. So anything that can help with that is wonderful. My
Great.
next question is, what is one I wish I would have known? And it can be just about life, it can be about vibe, anything.
I wish I would have known. Okay. Well, right now, because the only thing's popped in my head, I wish I would have known how many people would actually call me to talk about nothing. Because the good news, bad news is, if the phone didn't ring at all, nobody would know who I am. But now I just like I never expected that, and my wife would like she'll hear some of the calls like when we're on a trip. She goes, "What did that person call you for?" And I'm like, I don't I don't know. They had questions, but they already know the answer before they ask, so I'm not sure. I wish I would have known some of the shortcuts I found later on that I wasted so much time on. For example, I burned up a lot of these things trying to design them and make them work. I spent an incredible amount of time trying to verify that it was putting out the correct frequencies as designed, right? So I have oscilloscopes. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have oscilloscopes and data analyzers, and I'm trying to, you can see 40 hertz, but when you mix 40 and 116 together with auto harmonic, it's very hard to deconstruct that and see that there were two different frequencies mixed together, 40 and 116. It's very,
Okay.
very, very hard. So I'm like, how am I going to verify that this stuff's working correctly? And one night I was sleeping with it under my pillow for sleep before I got smart enough to do the hour ahead. And it makes a little bit of the old device, not the new one. The old one makes a little bit of sound. And so it'd go like do when it changed frequencies, which that white noise changing bothered me. But it was like 3 in the morning, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's not a speaker in there, but it's acting like a speaker a little bit because if I can hear it, it's got to be moving air. So it didn't have
Yes.
a big diaphragm like a speaker, but it's still vibrating, moving air. So I'm like, if I play Stairway to Heaven and I can hear the song perfectly, guitar, bass, vocals, which is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. That's the hearing of the human ear. If I
Mhm.
can hear the music fine, that means all the circuitry and everything is built correctly and it's putting out the right frequencies. So
Okay.
I went from very expensive, high tech NASA machines to just listen to a song. The quality control I have in the manufacturing is they play a song for 10 seconds on every device so that the operator can hear the song and they know their favorite song that it sounds correct. That means everything's correct on the inside. So I wish I would
Mm.
have known that before I spent a bunch of my wife's money on oscilloscopes.
Don't say that too loud.
Yes, right.
Wonderful. Mark, please tell the audience where they can learn more about Vibe. And then you also mentioned you just released a new book. So please share all that information.
So yeah, Resona, and again, it's short for resonance. So it's RESONA dot health is the website. But what we're going to do for your listeners is we'll do Resona.health / something. So you want to just
Okay.
use your name. What do you want to come up
Sure.
with?
NCT, Navigating Cancer Together.
So Resona.health / NCT.
NCT. Yes.
So that'll
Hmm.
be the URL. There'll be a landing page there. There's a lot more information. They can go find out about it. And they're $399 retail. That will give them, they go to that website. We'll put up a coupon code for $150 off so they can get it for
Okay.
249.
Thank you.
So we'll create a unique landing page for your listeners.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
You're
I'm
welcome.
sure they do as well. And your book, Mark, tell us a little bit more about that.
I was driving home a week ago and a guy I haven't seen in 2 years. I'm old enough now that when I estimate time, I now double it. So it's like, I think it was 2 years ago I talked to him. So it was four, right? And it was.
Okay.
And we're talking about the vibe and stuff. And he's got multiple New York Times bestsellers. He's got many, many books. He's like, Mark, what you need is a book that talks about all this. So, and I'm like, I don't have time to write another book, right? I'm too busy. And I'm literally 4 minutes into the conversation, I went, wait a minute. I already wrote 8 of them 3 years ago on this topic. And he goes, you did? I go, yeah, but nobody cares. He goes, where are they? And I showed him on the website. He goes, what's the title of the book? I go, Resonance Frequency Therapy. And he goes, right. That title sucks. Nobody,
Okay.
nobody cares about that and nobody knows what it is. I'm like, all right. He goes, we need a better title. I'll come up with one for you. I'm like, okay. And he goes, let me think about it. No, I don't need to think about it. The title of the book is What on Earth Are We Doing to Our Health?
There you go.
That's way
Yeah.
better. So the subtitles are rocket something, something. He goes, nope. Your subtitle is A Rocket Scientist Investigates Out of This World Therapies. I went back to the book and I'm like, you know what? I spent a lot of time writing this 3 years ago and not a single person cared. So I repurposed it with a new title. We had a press release come out today, and that's the name of the book. So they can get that
Okay.
from Resona.health as well.
Okay. Perfect. And yes, your friend is right. I would be really interested in that.
Yes, I know what's wrong. I'm a rocket scientist. I knew I had the wrong title, but I was like, but it is,
Yeah.
yeah, it took him 4 seconds to come up with that one.
Mark, is there anything that you would like to share that you have not shared before we end today?
I don't know if any of your listeners are old enough to remember a comedian called Rich Hall in the 70s, but he had a TV show thing and he had a thing called sniglets. So they were words that don't exist in the dictionary but should. And one of them was called boson. It's always stuck in my mind. Boson. So it's bozo and ozone mixed together. And the definition is it's a cloud around people that stops new ideas from getting in. So to answer your question, no boson. Get rid of boson if you have it around you and allow again, back to anesthesia, stem cells, DNA sequencing, all that stuff was 100% magic before it wasn't. So
Mhm.
you give it a fighting chance and see if it works.
That's a great way to end the show. Great advice. Try something different if what you're doing isn't working and just be open, is what I'm getting. Be open minded.
Yeah, and if they buy a Vibe, I have a 30-day money back guarantee. I don't want a single person to ever have one if it doesn't work for them. So I take them back. There hasn't been that many, thankfully, because my
Good.
goal is to help people, right?
Of course.
And maybe be profitable someday. I don't know. That's kind of a
Yeah.
dream.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
It might be.
Exactly. But yes, I can tell that's the main thing, to really help people make sure they're having a better quality of life. And that's what it's all about.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Thank you, Mark. My pleasure. I enjoyed talking with you. I love all the things that you've done. And yes, you're still a hot air balloonist. You are
Yeah.
still doing that.
All right.
That's a whole nother conversation. Very
Yes.
interesting.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Mark. I would like to give a shout out to the listeners. Thank you so much for joining us. Please share, follow, or subscribe so that you can easily find this podcast and listen again. You can listen to Navigating Cancer Together on Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcast. Looking to expand your professional network? Join me on LinkedIn. As an active member of the platform, I would like to personally invite you to connect with me. Let's grow our connections together. Search for Talaya Dendy, BCPA. That's TALAYA DENDY That is it for this Wednesday. And until next time, let's keep navigating cancer together. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of Navigating Cancer Together. I hope you found it helpful. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and tell your friends and family about it. For notes from the show and previous episodes, visit ontheotherside.life and check out the podcast section. I would love it if you join me for the next episode. Talk to you soon.